Hello Internet, my name's Corrigan and I'm here to talk to you about setting up a budget for buying a house as a cooperative. Let's take a look at the source of funds. Where do you get money to start a co-op? So we're in this Google spreadsheet here for the development budget. We're on this first tab for development. We're going to scroll down past the use of funds to the sources of funds. There's basically two sources of funds. You can either borrow money or you can have earned the money. The way we have this set up here, you might have multiple different loans or groups of loans, as well as initial cash equity. The loans might be borrowed from a traditional bank, might be a credit union. There's also community development financial institutions, CDFIs, which often specifically lend for cooperatives and affordable housing. There might be a foundation which has or another nonprofit that has a fund set up which can make loans directly to organizations that are doing this type of work. There's also one example of that is there is a loan fund that's specifically set up for student housing cooperatives called the Kagawa Student Cooperative Reinvestment Loan Fund, or just the Kagawa Fund for short. Also, you can borrow money directly from friends, family, other supporters of the community and members, and make individual loan agreements with them. And the fourth line here, cash equity, this could be money that the co-op has saved up in its own development fund over time while leasing and or doing fundraising or other sources of income. This equity could also be from member shares, where each member puts in a certain amount of money at the beginning. This model we're going to be looking at is considering what's called group equity or zero equity, so that the equity share that each member puts in can only be taken out at exactly the same level. That equity doesn't increase over time. But there are other models, a limited equity co-op and market equity co-op, that will look slightly different. So what we've got here, the way this spreadsheet works, is that the total sources and the total uses need to be equal. You need to have as much money as you're going to spend in this project. And then we break down how do the different loan values and equity add up to that amount. And for convenience, the primary loan is set up to calculate as the difference from these other loan amounts. So what you might practically do is say, all right, we're going to have $35,000 that we've fundraised ourselves and from members. We're going to borrow $40,000 from friends and family who are only going to charge 1% interest. And then what do we need to finish that out? So if we can borrow $50,000 from some kind of higher interest loan fund, then the remainder would be $440,277. In this column, the payments, it calculates at this based on the interest rate and the amortization, the number of years that it would be scheduled to pay off the loan in full. What would be the annual debt payments? What would be the annual mortgage payments on that? And so that's why you'll want to have different lines for the loans with different interest rates or different terms, and add up how much that all will cost. If we scoot over a little farther here, your loans might also have a different term of when the balloon on that is. Some loans, if the amortization and the term is the same, that means that you pay off the loan over 25 years and that's all that happens. If we have this example here, the loan is amortized on a 25-year schedule, but after 5 years you're expected to pay the principal in full, which usually means refinancing and getting a new loan. But we'll talk more about that in another video. Another column that will be important to keep an eye on as you put this together is the loan to value, which is displayed here cumulatively going from top to bottom. Loan to value is the ratio of the loan principal amount, here in cell B25, to the value of the property, and that's up here in cell D. Going back up. Cell, here it is, cell D4. This is where we're estimating the appraised value. While we're at it, we might point out that the appraised value need not be the same as the purchase price. While the property may be appraised at $500,000, say you're friends with the landlords and they like you and they're willing to sell it to you for $450,000. They're giving you an extra $50,000 because of whatever reason you were able to come to a beneficial agreement on that. I'll put that number back here, but just so you know that those are two different numbers to be looking at. So let's go back down here again. Say your first loan is going to be $440,000 and the home is appraised at $500,000, and that would mean that the loan to value is 88%. Most commercial lenders most commercial lenders will require 80% loan to value, 70% loan to value, sometimes even 60% loan to value, depending on the project. Right now we're at 88, which is probably too high for what a traditional bank or credit union would be willing to cover on their first loan. It's too big of a loan for the value of the property. We'll see how we can play with that a little bit later here. For example, if we increase this loan, say we increase the loans from friends and family to $80,000. Now the way the formula, if we increase that, it automatically decreases this first loan for us. And then this recalculates to show that we're now down to 80% approximately loan to value. So then that first loan, that might be in a better position. The second loan for $50,000, that's going to bring us up to 90% loan to value. Each loan is a separate portion of it, but so the percentage here, loan to value cumulative, means what's loan to value for all the loans up to this one. So the first loan plus the second loan represent now 90% of the value. We see here on this third loan, $80,000, that we're up over 100% loan to value. That means people who are making loans in this third tier know that they're loaning more money to the co-op than the co-op actually has collateral to cover. So if everything went bust, the property got sold, liquidated, and then the money was used to pay off the loans, people in this third tier would not actually be getting their full amount of principal back, whereas the first and second tier would be. So groups that are willing to loan above 100% loan to value are definitely taking a much bigger risk and perhaps not necessarily assuming that they would get that money back, or are very confident that the co-op's going to succeed. So that is the source of funds breakdown. You may feel free, if you have the spreadsheet, to add other notes and levels. You might want to separate between, say, cash from fundraising and cash from member equity. Neither of these need to be repaid with interest, so it's just a matter of how you want to see it split up on your spreadsheet. Alright, next we'll cover the operating budget.